Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, we will present our documentary review about homelessness in New York City. So, this is my group member. First, Nur Anis Natasha, Nur Fatihah, Nurul Atira, Nur Erafika, and Ainin Sofia. Firstly, executive summary about this documentary. Homelessness in New York had risen nearly double in a decade, reaching 60,000 people. The main reason is when median rent have risen by 8.5%, but median income have dropped by 7%. As a result, everyday people are losing their home, causing the homeless shelter not enough anymore. The city have to spend more than $1 billion a year for homeless people. Majority people in the shelter are family with children. For now, they need to apply if want to stay in the shelter, because homeless people have exceeded the space in the shelter around New York. Even though the president promised to build more houses, but the price is still high. So, homeless problem cannot be solved. Introduction. Homelessness means people that have no home to stay in. Even though New York has provided a lot homeless shelter, but this problem still not solved. Year by year, percentage of homeless people are rising, but the government remains unable to solve this problem.
So firstly, the topic that we're going to discuss is about defining and framing the issue about innovative employees, trend in current practice, and also nature of employees. New York City is a city more than 8.3 million people and nearly indicates number of people being homeless about 16,000 of men, women, and children. One of the ways to avoid being homeless is being an innovative employees at the organizations. The innovative employees differentiate themselves by approaching difficulties with a visionary mindset and shaping ideas in a patient and self-acting manner. Based on the documentary, the example of an innovative employees are: the first one is Anjali Kamai. She is a journalist of fault lines. She have a great communication skills that are needed for an innovative employees. She also have the courage to having an interview with the Deputy Department of Homeless. Another one example is Melissa Rivera. She have an attitude of being innovative, which is a persistent worker. She eager to work by working as a saleswoman door by door at the homeless park.
Next, I want to present about trend in current practice. According to a recent report issued by the National Center on Family Homeless, 1 in every 10 American children is homeless. The number of people in homeless shelter increased every night from 31,000 to 54,000. This led to 23,000 rise in the number of homeless people living in shelter. In 2012, more than a third of the families that require for shelter had been evicted. The number of citizens staying in homeless shelter in New York has nearly doubled in a decade, hitting 60,000 every night in 2014.
Nature of employment. Being unemployed while expressing homelessness also make it difficult to get out of homelessness. Barriers faced by individuals to continue working despite homelessness in New York. Barriers include challenges in terms of mental and physical health and discrimination in hiring practice that low-wage workers have to face. 1 in 5 New Yorkers still live below the federal poverty line. Meanwhile, housing costs continue to soar. This is because median rate has increased by 8.5%, but median income has decreased by 7% in New York City. People are losing their homes for not being able to pay the rent of their house due to such low wage rates. So they had no other choice and were forced out of the house to live in the shelters for the sake of survival.
The second part is we are going to discuss about chapter related to principle of management.
Number 1 is unethical behavior. Unethical behavior is an action that is against social norms. Many companies do not practice proper work ethics. Workers have been mistreated by the managers. Managers does not practice justice and fairness. For example, paying low salaries to the workers they didn't like. This causing the workers can't afford the living costs. Next, the landlord raised the rental price causing the tenant cannot afford it. This is unethical when the landlord set the high rental exceeding the rental standard for the house. When the rental is over the budget, they will move out and being homeless. This behavior affect homeless percentage and need to be resolved.
Emotions. Positive and negative emotions. Negative emotions are sparked when a person becomes frustrated in trying to achieve his or her goals, while positive emotions are triggered when people are on track toward achieving goals. Workers in New York face a negative, stressful and sadness environment because jobs in New York pay very low wages, so the workers they are under pressure to get on with life. Sources of income such as salaries received by employees in New York need to be increased. Workers there do want high wages to get on with a better daily life.
Another chapter related to a principal management is political instability. Political instability causes an economic recession due to lack of national. When the economy in recession, business will lay off employees. As a result of their unemployment and loss of income, they are unable to pay their rent and eventually become homeless. Political instability also caused the government unable to provide affordable housing to its citizens. The fact is that New York citizens demand at least half of the New York homes created in the city are affordable for them, but they are told that apartment price will be too high for them to pay. To solve the growing homeless crisis in New York, the government must make sure the country has political stability.
So another chapter that relates with this documentary is motivating chapter. Motivation, based on textbooks management, the 13 editions, it refers to the forces either within or external to a person and arouse enthusiasm and persistence to pursue a certain course of actions. It's a psychological concept and cannot be imposed by the employee itself. So basically, motivation have 4 categories, and there are 2 criteria that managers must follow, which is intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic are the enjoyment of doing work, and extrinsic is caused by the external environment. So there are 5 types of motivating needs based on hierarchy of needs, which is psychological needs, safety needs, belonging needs, esteem needs, and lastly the self-actualization needs.
Next, the conclusion from the Homeless New York is the issue of homeless need to be addressed at the grassroots level and should not be taken lightly by all community. And then the causes of individual homeless affect a large part of population who suffer from suffering such as mental illness, high housing costs, limited employment sector, and so on. And then the recommendation from the Homeless New York is the government should provide specific recommendation to homeless people as well as banning homeless people from living around the street. And then the government need to provide housing areas that are specifically for the homeless and suitable for homeless to live in commensurate with the cost charges, as well as reduce the high cost of housing there. And lastly, the government should open up a wider employment sector to the community and not emphasize excellent academic qualification for works. Last, the lesson from the homeless New York is the existence of homeless individuals is due to various factors such as narrowness of life, urban poverty, family conflicts, social symptoms, mental disorder, drug abuse, and others. Secondly, homeless is an issue of compassion and sympathy seen especially women, children, the elderly lying on the sidewalk or under bridges. Thirdly, the people need to be helped from the aspect of shelter. Last but not least, the rising housing costs have also made people unable to pay rent and a major factor of homeless. Lastly, the government must resolve the issue of homelessness wisely and consider the issue of homeless is not the garbage of society.
And that's all from our group. Thank you.